ESPN's bracketology show today and hear what Dick Vitale had to say and the rest of this panel.
Dick, you look at this, there's no Middle Tennessee. You told me you could just rewind your comments. What are your thoughts about Middle Tennessee with all those victories under Kermit Davis, not necessarily the strongest strength of schedule, Blue Raiders not making it? Is that your biggest beef?
Well, first of all, Reese, let's face reality. The tournament's based a lot on mediocrity. Mediocrity has prevailed. They've looked at RPIs, all those numbers, and they've decided that they want to look with their eyes. They believe that the elite conferences are the best. So they're playing all those teams 8-10, 9-9. Now, since they did that, we buy it, okay? I understand now. St. Mary's not getting in, Middle Tennessee, the usual cry, who do they play? Their RPI's down. I buy that now, okay? I understand that. But somebody explain this to me. I know I'm a dummy. I know I can't spell. I know I can't read. I can't write. I have no math skills. But I want somebody to explain this to me. How in the world can Oklahoma State be sitting home today and Oklahoma in the tournament when Oklahoma loses 11 of their last 15 games? They didn't win one game in the year 2018 on the road. And on top of it, Oklahoma State beats them twice. Not once, twice. Oklahoma State beats Kansas twice. Oklahoma State beats West Virginia at West Virginia. Oklahoma State beats Florida State. I see no logic. They can give me all the talk they want about early, what they did early, 14-2. There is no way in the world that Oklahoma State, if Oklahoma's in, Oklahoma State had to be in the tournament. I think it's a disgrace. I think it's an embarrassment, and it's a humiliation to what this tournament's about. I really, tell you the truth, it frustrates the hell out of me.
Both of them are very similar in all of the numbers, Dick. I mean, I think Dick makes a good point. I think all of us, as we've talked on College Game Day, as we were sliding the teams, had Oklahoma State ahead of Oklahoma going in. What's your reaction? What do you think?
I think the committee made that clear from the beginning when we heard that Arizona State was in the field. They're doing it based upon the numbers and the fact that they got those wins against Kansas and Xavier, even though they finished 9th in the Pac-12. The target for them was, how did you schedule?
The non-conference schedule. I think what hurt Oklahoma State was a non-conference schedule, but they played Florida State on a neutral court in Florida and won that basketball game. So, I mean, there's a head-to-head. They got the head-to-head against Oklahoma, but their non-conference schedule, which makes no sense because when you play in the Big 12 and you play those 18 games in a round robin, you should forget about your non-conference strength of schedule.
You know what the overall strength of schedule for Oklahoma State was? 5th. I mean, Oklahoma was 3rd, and I understand the non-conference when you separate it out, but I mean, it's just tough to swallow.
Here's the stuff that's total nonsense about what the committee says. They say total body of work. They talk about deep dives and scrubbing and all that stuff, and then they go with non-conference record. If it's overall body of work, just like Seth's saying, if you play in a tougher conference, you're not required to play as tough of a non-conference schedule if it's your total body of work. If you play in a conference that doesn't give you anything and you want to get in as an at-large, you'd better play somebody in the non-conference. That's the responsibility that you have in a lesser conference. And if they're not if they look at this and somebody says, well, I think this team is better, I'm not going to argue with them. That's fine. But they're contradicting themselves left and right. And committees should not be sending messages when their charge is to put the best teams in. This is the national championship event. They shouldn't be doing that. And I agree with Dick. Like, that's if that's what they're doing, if they're trying to send messages, then they should find another business. That's not what they should be up to.
Dick?
Well, I agree certainly with what Jay just said, but I'll also point this out. They say, look at their non-conference. They played Wichita State, Oklahoma State. They played Arkansas at the Bud Walton Arena. They played some outstanding teams. Florida State, you said, on a neutral set. I mean, I think they really have been penalized big time. And I'm not talking about, it hurts in a way because maybe I like the little guy being part of the dance, but I understand it now. I understand basically the opportunities. That quadrant 1 just favors all the elite conferences. Think about the opportunities they get to play. If you're an elite top conference, you're getting to play those teams on a regular basis. And you're going to get a little bit lucky, a little bit fortunate. I know I could feel for those little guys going 28-5 and 25-6 sitting home. And I just think it's sad in a way that mediocrity rather than common sense sometimes. You look at numbers. There's something called common sense. And I just don't understand. When I look at that Oklahoma and that Oklahoma State, I have nothing against Oklahoma. Lon Kruger's a great guy. Trey Young, a terrific player. But there's no way if I'm sitting in Oklahoma State, I could be tearing my heart out now. I mean, we beat Kansas twice. They're like #1 seed. We beat West Virginia on the road. We beat Oklahoma. Forget all that. I had a coach tell me today, I talked on the phone. He said, bottom line, Dick, they beat them twice. They beat them because I told him before, I said, I don't think Oklahoma State's going to get in. He said, you can't be serious. How could Oklahoma get in? They lost 12 in the last, or 11 in the last 15 games. I mean, even Lon Kruger would tell me that because he's a classy guy and a guy that probably should be considered for Hall of Fame status. He would tell you he would feel for the kids at Oklahoma State. They got a raw deal.
Dick, I don't